Step by step how I made my banana pudding cake. First, I put some eggs. Those were very small eggs, so I used about 5 of them. But if your eggs are quite big, you can use 3 or 4. So I cracked my eggs into the bowl. I'm putting away the shells. And then I put some honey. The reason why I'm not using sugar is because I want the natural sweetness of the banana to come out, so I just added a little bit of honey there. And I'm not a big fan of sugar, so that's why I substitute with honey when I think I need something a bit sweet. And then I start mixing. Make sure that the eggs and the honey, they are well mixed. And then for this recipe, I use these overripe bananas. They give the best texture, and the sweetness of them, they're the best. So I'm using 4 bananas in this recipe, peeling them. As you can see, I'm cutting them with a knife, not to use a blender or something, because I want to have little chunks, and that texture, you feel it once the cake is cooked, that you get some sections where you can just taste the banana. That's why I'm doing this way. And cut a bit smaller. Then add into the egg mixture. Now I mix. And those black parts are from the edges of the banana, so you don't have to worry about them. But as you can see, I took them out. You can even leave them in if you want, because it's the banana will just turn brown. And then I added a cup of olive oil. As you can see, I didn't use any butter, and the olive oil or any other cooking oil helps the cake to be very, very soft and moist. So I just put a cup of it. And then I've got some vanilla pot. As you can see, it was kind of dry because I bought this one last year, so it was quite difficult to scrape it out. But I managed to get a little bit, and then I put the shell which I scraped out inside, so that I can continue mixing. And by doing that, it releases some of the flavors into the mixture. And then towards the end, I'll just put it out before I bake. Continue mixing. And then I added just 1 cup of flour. And then 2 teaspoons of baking powder. To mix together with the flour. And then I had to serve it inside the banana mixture. By doing this, you remove any lumps which might be inside the flour, because you don't need them inside there. After that, mix gently. Make sure there are no flour lumps. And then add a tiny bit of milk, very little. Now I remove that vanilla stick. Now the consistency is right, and then I put a little bit of olive oil into the baking tray and spread with the kitchen pepper. Make sure that all corners are properly greased. You do this properly, it will help that the cake doesn't stick at the bottom. And put tiny bit of flour. And then I make sure that my baking tray is properly coated. At this time, you can preheat your oven on 160 with the fan on. But I use my Baking Ninja, which I don't need to preheat. And then I bake it for 40 minutes, and then I let it rest afterwards for 45 minutes, and then I cut it. You can eat it with anything you want, ice cream.